Hello everyone and welcome back to ELA Prep. In this lesson, in this video, we are going to learn about SPACEM, which is an acronym, and I think it is a very helpful strategy when you're trying to analyze a piece of writing. It's kind of unique because we've never done an acronym here before, but I do find it a very important topic for us to talk about. It's a little, not really a cheat sheet, but it's very helpful. Sometimes when we're reading something, we only really focus on what the text says. However, strong and more experienced readers will also ask questions like, well, why was this written? Or who was it written for? Or I don't know, what caused the author to write it? So SPACEM will help us answer all of these questions. So each letter stands for something different that helps us understand the author's message more clearly. So I'm not going to delay this anymore. Let's get straight into this very important topic. Alright, so first of all, what is SPACEM? So I kind of already described it, but let's see here. So SPACEM is a strategy used to analyze rhetorical situations in texts. It helps readers understand why a text was written and how it delivers its message. It stands for speaker, purpose, audience, context, exigence, and message. So yeah, let's go and we're gonna go in depth into each one of these meanings, like literally just now. So let's see. Yeah, well, definitions. We're gonna start off with speaker. So the speaker, in summary, is basically the person communicating the message. So sometimes that could be the author, however, other times that could be a narrator or a character inside the story. So understanding the speaker actually matters quite a lot because different speakers have different perspectives. So for example, a scientist talking about climate change will probably sound pretty different than a politician talking about the exact same topic. So whenever you're analyzing a text, one of the questions you should ask is, who is speaking? Who is delivering this message? And what is their background or position? Alright, next up we have purpose. So the purpose is simply why the author wrote the text. So most pieces of writing usually fall into a few categories. The author might want to inform you, which means they'll want to teach the reader something. They also might try to persuade you, which is to convince you of something. Or maybe they want to explain an idea, or sometimes just entertain. I have tried to written a lot of stuff before. It's usually mainly to entertain. If anything, I'll inform of a few things, but that's only just like to seem a little niche. So when you understand the author's purpose, it does become a lot easier to understand the message of the actual text. I mean, because that's basically the same thing. That's what the author wants to tell you. Alright, next up we have audience. So the audience is the group of people the author is trying to communicate with. For example, if someone's writing for middle school students, they'll probably use simpler vocabulary, clearer explanations, something a middle schooler could understand. However, if they're writing for let's say scientists or experts, their language might be a lot more technical, a lot more advanced, right? So the audience influences exactly how the text is written. So when analyzing a text, you should always think about who was this text written for? Who does the author expect to read this? Alright, next up we have the context. So the context means, in simple terms, is the situation surrounding the text. So it could include things like the time period, important historical events, or maybe social issues happening at the exact time. So for example, a speech that's written during a war would very much sound extremely different than a speech written during a peaceful time. So understanding the exact context behind this text will help us understand why the author might have written the text the way they did and why they would have written it in the first place. So it kind of connects with their purpose. It's more of an explanation of that. Next, we have exigence. So this is a little bit more advanced. It's a little bit harder, but exigence is basically the problem or the situation that caused the author to write the text in the first place. It's quite similar to the other ones. So, for example, if a scientist writes an article, I don't know, about climate change and misinformation, the exigence might be the spread of incorrect information. So exigence will always answer the question, what situation caused the author to write this text? Finally, we have the message. So the message is the main idea or central claim the author wants to communicate. So everything else we talked about, the speaker, purpose, the audience, context, and exigence, they all help us better understand the message. So when analyzing a text, the message is usually the big takeaway the author wants the reader to remember. So you can ask yourself, what is the author ultimately trying to say? What is he trying to communicate towards me? Now let's actually go for a practice. So like always, I'm going to give you a sample and you guys will need to tell me exactly what every category is. So let's see this. So a social media post from a scientist explaining climate change. I use this during the actual PowerPoint presentation itself. Shouldn't be that hard. So, alright, I'll give you a quick little second to find out. Alright, so the speaker is a scientist. Right, it's from a scientist. So, speaker is a scientist. The purpose, to inform people about climate change and its effects. Well, he wants to explain climate change. It's mostly an informational thing. And so, well, it's basically there, explaining climate change, so he wants to inform people about climate change. The audience, it doesn't say, but it's the general public, or at least those interested in climate change. I would stick with general public though, because since it's an informational one, it's mostly aimed at the people who don't really know about this. So, for context, so we know that climate change is a global issue that a lot of people are uninformed on. A lot of people don't know anything about climate change. So that's his goal. Exigence. Growing concern on climate change and potential misinformation. So, of course, this is not very clear. Exigence is I would say, the hardest one to find out. However, for him to explain climate change, a lot of websites do include a lot of misinformation. And so here he's trying to clear it up and truly explain the actual text. Or explain exactly what climate change is. And the message, climate change is real and important, and more people should know about it. Pretty simple, that one. That's kind of what he's trying to tell us. Climate change is a pretty big issue. The ozone layer is kind of getting affected by this, and it's overall not good. You know, you got animals like I think it's like the Arctic is melting or something like that in some way because it's getting hotter, and the animals there aren't really used to that, so it does affect life as well. So it's a pretty big issue. Alright, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You can share this in case you have any questions. You can always leave a comment down below. I will do my best to answer it. And well, that's basically it. I hope you learned about SPACEM. You should remember it and use it to analyze your text in school. So, alright, well, that's basically it. Then I'll see you next week. Bye bye.